Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here. It's been a long broadcast, and we're down to our last game. It's an exciting one. Insignem versus Armada. The two beasts of the minor league are going to go head-to-head, but unfortunately, there is some unfortunate news. Genetics, the standout support coming out for Insignem, unfortunately, has been suspended in-game, which means that is conduct unbecoming of the league, so he will not be eligible to play for the rest of the tournament. That said, his coach will step in, and Insignem will continue on versus Armada. Now, as we look at this matchup, Armada obviously have been very strong from the North American side. Cope, you've experienced him firsthand. What can you say about the jungler for Armada?
I mean, for years, he's been a top jungler, just right under the mark. Teams have looked at him this year, and he's kind of showing everybody why he deserved those spots. Maybe he had to pass up on them for personal reasons, but here he is.
Well, him across the way from LASBRA, certainly going to be an exciting one to watch. Let's take a look at the bracket and see where all these teams are situated. We're on the bottom side. Trifecta has gone on versus CLG, and they beat them. That was such a crazy ending, man. Shouts to Herwin. I will give credit where credit is due.
Defense was crazy.
That was almost a 1 HP defense. But Trifecta are the ones that move on. They'll be going up against Cherio and the Mice. And then Insignem versus Armada. Winner goes on to face Space Station. Loser goes home. Insignem, as we said, has largely been successful off of the back of LASBRA. So while they do have some setbacks here, I think that it is still very much LASBRA's game. As a jungler yourself, what can you say about him?
This is literally the battle of the junglers. He is insane. Definitely, I'd say higher than SPL caliber. Easily could be swapped into any team, take over that spot, be the star on that team.
Yeah, it's really just incredible watching him do his thing. Representing Insignem, though, is one of my favorite minor league players. The unofficial mascot of the Smite minor league is Deathpanter, and he's sitting by.
All right, Finch here, joined by Deathpanter, our SML mid laner with World Championship qualifications. You've been there to HRX once before, right? So first off, how are you feeling here in this sort of SML matchup? Does it kind of just feel like those sets you guys had in between the splits in spring and summer?
Yeah, definitely. Like, against all the SPL teams, we'd be underdogs, but I think this is like the only game where you can say we're not underdogs, so definitely going in confident.
Well, it's hard not to talk about. Y'all had to make this adjustment, in the roster midday, and it's definitely tough. But it seems like you guys still have good spirits here going to this set. Do you guys still feel like you all are the ones that should be favored here in this match?
Yeah, I don't know about favor, but I think we're still confident. It's like Janus is a big part of the team, but it's not like he's the only one doing stuff. So we'll still be able to play our game, hopefully, and we'll see how it goes.
Y'all absolutely still have very strong players here on this team, so definitely some good stuff that I can expect from you all. What was the prep like, I guess, throughout the day, trying to make sure you all were ready? Because it's been a long day for y'all waiting for this match at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the first thing we kind of did was, like, talk to our coach and see how confident is he, what's your god pool looking like, what's your strong points, and make minor adjustments, but not big adjustments, because we still want to play our own game.
Well, were you all able, did you do any scrims maybe before this or any that you're able to do today, sort of with this team? I mean, have you all ever had a chance to do any practice?
No, we played like 2v2s and laning phase and stuff, but nothing serious.
Yeah, that's basically it, right? Just as long as those go well, you'll win the 5v fights, hopefully. Well, good luck to y'all here in this set. Absolutely hope the best for you. Thanks for talking with us, Matt.
Great to hear the honesty coming out from Deathpanter, and I love what he said. He said, look, we do have some monkey wrenches kind of thrown in here, but we're going to stick to our own game. And I love what he said about, he's a part of the team, but there's so much more here. LASBRA is the focal point. I think obviously it's unanimous. Everybody watching this team gets that LASBRA is the guy. And second option, that's Deathpanter. He's also looked really strong here. I mean, this is an ex-SPL player down in the minor league, and I've liked what he's done.
And Plan A and Plan B have worked for them so well so far throughout this tournament. They haven't really had to really fall back onto a Plan C at the moment. We've seen how hard of a carry LASBRA really can be for his team when he needs to be, but we've seen that supportive mindset when he does pull out the Hun Bats.
For sure. Yeah, he can do both sides of the coin, which is, I think, one of the more important parts of Insignem. So the Newt certainly leading them to what they hope to be victory. On the other side, Armada, certainly a strong team in and of themselves, largely led out of the jungle, but mid laner sops have certainly been a big part of what's gone on this week. We're going to catch up with them. Finch, what sops got to say?
I'm here with Sops from Armada now, one of our other SML teams. First off, have you all just been kind of looking forward to this set? I mean, I don't know if you expected it, but it's SML up against SML here at the qualifiers. That's so cool.
No, yeah. it's definitely something that we didn't expect, but for it to happen now, just like every other LAN for SML, it's definitely cool that we get to play against the EU SML, because it's always been like who's better, because first LAN NA won, and then second LAN EU won, so it's definitely cool to play against them now.
Well, it's definitely going to be a cool chance to see you guys go head-to-head. There's been, some distractions. They had some changes with the day. Has it affected you all's prep at all, or have you all just remained focused on your game plan?
No, we're still focusing as much as we can, because there's no reason to underestimate them. Like, sure, they have a sub, but that doesn't change the rest of the team and how they play. So it's definitely something that we kept in mind, and we're definitely focusing just as hard as any other game, I guess, for these guys. So.
And you all are so close, really, to a chance to make it to DreamHack. I mean, you really, honestly, are just right there. How are you all remaining focused and staying calm with how important these sets are?
Honestly, we're just kind of keeping cool, just like we have been for the whole LAN. It's definitely cool having the chance to go to Worlds. It's only 2 sets away, but we just keep the same mindset of just kind of having fun and still trying as hard as we can during the actual games.
Well, good luck to you all. It's been great watching you so far, and I'm looking forward to an exciting match here between the two of you. We'll get it back over to the desk.
Thanks a lot there, John. Sops standing by. And if I can be absurdly honest real quick, I think the problem that Armada has had has been taking the game seriously up until a point. We went in on sBennyQ for the blink and kind of messing around, but I think that this team has reached a moment where they realize that they're actually here, they can actually do this. And speaking in the green room to some of the players around, that's a very real mentality where you go into a game, and the analogy that I made is kind of like you get a troll pick in ranked, and your last selection you have to go Naja mid, and then you find yourself 6 minutes in with 5 kills, and you're like, wait a second, we can actually do this, and you lock yourself in again. Everybody watching us experience that, I'm sure. I think that's the story of Armada here. First couple of matches, now fully on board, fully engaged. That interview with Sops, he was 100% here. I'm excited.
I mean, look at these two junglers we
Not
have.
allowed. Not allowed. Fine, LASBRA. Fine, LASBRA.
Yo, man, the dab versus Copebby's face right now. This story, these two going in together, they've both shown up. They've shown they are great players. It's what are they going to do when they clash right now?
Yeah, no, Cope, it's fun. No, usually don't mess around with players. I give you guys your space when it's game time. I really, really have this like absurd respect for like pre and post game where I don't mess with anybody. But I caught up with Cope like 2 matches ago, and I was like, hey man, you guys gonna buy a lottery ticket? You guys gonna win? You guys gonna lose? And he was like, yes. We're gonna do it. Yes. And I was like, yeah, haha. And he was like, yes.
No, he's so focused. He's down low key. He's very, very hyped up.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna see it through his play. We're not gonna see it in his expressions. It's gonna be his play, and I'm ready.
I love how locked in he is. I think, especially you and I know Cope.
Yeah.
He's an excitable, big, boisterous, lovable dude. He's always making noise. He's always laughing. He's joking around. This whole day, he's just been locked in, stuck in that room, looking at the game. I respect the amount of dedication that Cope brought here today.
And one thing, I was actually talking to one of the admins after the game yesterday. We kind of saw the pan of him coming back to his chair. He actually took a full lap around the room after they got that first game victory. He is massive high energy and is really kind of the pillar for this team.
It's an important part of the squad. I can't say it enough. X's and O's only go so far. Everybody is on that level. You got to have that sort of X factor, and he's certainly it. LASBRA and the rest of the squad are certainly going to be interesting. But these are the Hunters. Interesting look there. sBennyQ on the right, Joshy on the left. But what an there we go. What an interesting kind of setup here. I think the Hunters, the carries, have been the quieter members of either of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you know anything about sBennyQ, he's definitely one of the more, he's a known player. Everyone knows he's good, but he likes to have fun. He likes to do his thing. And his team kind of getting him down, knocking him down a step, getting him to do the traditional stuff is the key to him really showing us his true potential.
I've watched Cope yell at him. I think he's bringing him. I think he's brought him down a peg or two. So if that's what this team needs to really find the victory, that's what this team needs to find the victory. Just getting things set up here for Insignem. We'll get into picks and bans in a couple of minutes, making sure all the player settings are safe and sound. since Insignem did have that late game roster swap. So picks and bans coming your way very, very soon. The minor league teams have sort of a different meta, right? We saw them play up to the pro league meta and sort of adjust their gameplay. Now that they're going head to head, are they going to continue to play this LAN meta? Are they going to default to what they've been playing during the regular season?
I think you're gonna see Insignem do the traditional EU type meta. You're gonna see the normal gods come out. I think Armada have their different mid laners they're gonna play, their different ADCs they're gonna play, and they're gonna stick to that. I also think we're probably gonna see Pwash not be played very much today.
Yeah, banned out immediately by Insignem. They don't want to mess with that guy.
I think not just through the pro scene, but I think through Sops' play yesterday on this god is a very strict reason why you just ban Pwash.
Yeah, certainly don't want that one on the table. Odin going to be banned out by Insignem as well. Armada, on the other hand, leading into the jungle. They say no to the Mercury, and they're thinking about their secondary ban. Insignem with the first selection overall. Where are you going? Do you prioritize LASBRA, or do you leave the LASBRA pick for later?
Pele, man. Both teams play Pele. They've shown that it's insane. They can control the game with it. Is Armada going to give it up? That's my true question. Do they have an answer for LASBRA's Pele?
Well, that's the question, and it certainly demands a large conversation. Armada goes into the bank time now, thinking about if they should ban the Pele or if they want to fight against it. What are some of the ways that you can control the Pele?
I mean, Erlang is usually your first go-to. You have the matching knockups, you have the different engages. They kind of do similar things, obviously different kits, but that's your response. If Pele is banned here, I expect Erlang to get played for sure.
Ooh.
They're both going to get through.
Insignem have the first selection. Snap pick Pele here is what Weekend says. Freya, though, looks very interesting, and that will be the choice. Option over to Armada now. Can you go Pele and Erlang, Shen?
I mean, yeah, why not? We've seen so many strange comps comes out of, every role. Erlang could go sport, could go solo. It seems like the teams really want to stick to these safe, smart picks, and it's almost like they're baiting each other with the potential of Pele.
Yeah, so both of these teams have avoided the Pele for the first two shots, which tells me somebody knows how to play around it, and they're just kind of waiting for somebody to jump in the trap. Who jumps first?
It looks like Insignem is going to take the bait onto this one. They're going to go right into the Pele. Let's see if Armada has the counter strategy. You said the Erlang is a great option for it. They did lock it in, but I'm not even really surprised this Jing has been locked in either. We've been seeing it time and time again up against this Freya. It's a very safe option. Has a good matchup against her, but Sylvanus very early into the draft.
Yeah, an interesting Sylvanus pick, again, considering Jing is picked across the way. For this, I'm thinking Sylvanus is going to be paired up with the Freya, perhaps. Maybe Freya's going to be in the long lane.
I'm thinking that's their dual lane. They're Freya, Sylvanus. You're going to see the other dual lane also picked. I think it's Jing with Erlang support. That's just what they do. I did not expect the Serqet. I like the matchup. Like I said, Armada had a plan. This is obviously, they planned for this to go exactly how it's going right now.
Cope Serqet, we've seen a little bit of it. What can you tell us about it?
Honestly, I haven't seen it a lot. It's not his go-to god. Granted, he can play mechanically every single god, and if they've thought this through, there's no doubt that he's 100% ready. He knows it's going to work, and it's what he believes in.
Cope's one of these players that really wants to bring something out that has been tried and true, not quite an experiment on the big stage type guy.
That's not happening.
And not only that, Serqet is a great option up against Pele because of her passive. You don't want her to get that healing. Both of these gods do essentially the same thing. They run in, they drop their entire kit, you either die or they die. And that's what they want to do to each other here, and Serqet will have that anti-heal with her ultimate, be able to stop the passive of Pele.
Insignem ban out the soul, an interesting ban in and of itself. Again, I love how locked in Cope looks right now. just absolutely in the matrix. The Agni ban, though, that is an intelligent ban. Insignem right now, Freya, Pele, and Sylvanus. The only initiation they have, really, is Sylvanus with the Blink ultimate. You can talk about Pele using the ult and just kind of coning it out. That's less of an initiation, more a dive bomb. But Agni, long-range initiation, is something that Assassins and Freyas love. Agni being able to bomb stun over the walls just sets those characters up really nicely.
But also, the Agni's a super hard counter to the Serqet. And Armada has some plan for their mages. They played Soul already at this land. They played a lot of Pwash. What else have they taken mid? I want to know what they have planned for this. Both mids are being left to the last picks.
You think Armada learned how strong Sobek is compared to a Titan, and so that's why they locked him in on this draft?
Oh no.
They thought the Titan was introduced. Insignem here hovering the Anubis.
No way.
What can you tell us about Anubis here, Weekend?
I'm not the one to answer these questions, man. We threw that in last second. You know, I think it does really have merit. It has potential. You can focus kill the supports. If they're thinking that is an Erlang Shen support and he's going to be frontlining, that Anubis is going to kill him.
Yeah.
He's going to get the kills. Plus, like I said, not many mages up.
Well, Janus is going to be the choice here for Insignem. I always love Janus with Freya. I think having Freya go stupid deep, deal damage, and then come through a Janus portal is cheating. I think it's over the top, and Insignem thinks so as well. Janus in the mid lane, Freya likely to be paired up with Sylvanus over there in the duo. Pele is the jungle of choice for Captain LASBRA, and Achilles is going to be on the short side.
Copebby just smiled.
Uh-oh.
That's scary. There's something going on if he's smiling, man.
Well, Ra. This is a choice that we've seen picked here and there. How you feeling about Ra?
There's a lot of lockdown on his team already. You've got the Plucks and the Raw alts, Serqet combos, Erlang Shen combos. It's safe. It allows for them to reset, which I'm sure they want to punish that comp. They want to poke them out, get back, reset, and then go back in again.
And I think it's very important that a lot of Raw's hardest counters have already been taken off the board. There's no Odin, there's no Opwash, RTO, Terra, Mercury, they're all gone. This is a much safer attempt to go for this Raw here.
I love this Ra pick, and I think that's why we see Armada wait until the last moment to really pick it. And you know, shout outs to Coach Cloud, man. This is a slam dunk. This is a character that has a lot of potential, but unfortunately a lot of counter picks. And like J-Mac illustrated, all of those counter picks are off the board.
Oh, 100%. Their comp is going to do wonders. Forcing out a Freya ult into a reset, into a hard re-engage, the fight's over. They're going to win those fights, and I'm sure that's how they're planning it. That's an insane draft for me. To be able to last pick a Raw and make it a perfect pick is not easy, and they came through.
Armada right now, for my money, I think have the better draft overall, but Insignem, on the other hand, have the higher raw speed, if you will. This is a much it's a draft about raw power. Freya, Pele. If LASBRA and Joshy are able to do what they want to do, it doesn't matter what the draft is on this side. They're just going to step on them.
It's a very hit the ground running kind of composition. It's game starts, let's go. Hit the gas pedal, especially with, you know, Pele, Freya, and Janus. You want to get that going early because you know that if you can get the early lead, late game is going to be all yours.
See, this is one thing. The Armada comp is going to play off of each other, off the combos and everything, while the Insignem comp has the ability to protect their carries, protect their mages, and have LASBRA do whatever he wants.
That's the key. If you're rooting for Insignem, you want LASBRA to do whatever he wants. Armada, can they come together? The mash of the minors. Let's get ready for game one.
So here we go. It's EU Smite Minor League versus NA Smite Minor League. Of course, we're going to have a little bit of drama at some point in the LAN, and, well, Insignem have brought that for us, but now I am rooting for this guy on your screen. This guy, if you are tuning in at home right now, this is a coach that is stepping in for his team in the biggest moment of their season. And he's in plat, I believe, right now.
Whoa. I heard diamond.
No, I've checked with the team. He started in gold when he joined this team, and he's ground up to platinum now.
Unlucky.
This guy could be the truest hero, and everything he does, I am popping off for all the time. I'm rooting for Insignem. I'll even say it. I don't root for teams, but this is about my EU boys now.
Yo, what if he just goes into lane and hits us with a little 360 pull?
Let's go.
Right away.
Let's go.
He was sandbagging this whole time. It's an unfortunate situation for Insignem, but you got to play with the cards you're dealt. And here we are. Look, the Sylvanus selection is one that could work for one that isn't quite as used to this high level of play. It could get punished very heavily.
I don't know, because
you've got great push power.
I'm looking at the targeter that Armada may have paid on his back, though. Into a Sylvanus, an Erlang, a Serqet, and a Sobek. He's not the greatest Sam in the world to be that.
Now, the pressure actually really isn't on the support here. It's really on Joshy, because Joshy should be the one micromanaging everything his support is doing. Hey, let's go to purple here. Use your cooldowns here. Don't use them here. Conserve mana. Let's take this fight. Look at this target. That's got to be on Joshy.
Purple buff being contested, but immediately they're trying to get away from it, but the pin in place causes some problems. Joshy's Aegis already down, and Sops early rotation is going to get first blood eventually. Onto Joshy. It's Sibyl that gets credited with a kill, and we will see the Sylvanus slip the net for now, but that's just Armada being out-rotating more often than not. And A little bit of over-aggression from Insignem.
Now, in normal ranked play, like, say, Diamond or Platinum play, if you get lane pressure in duo, yes, that means you go purple. But in competitive play, you also have to take into factor if you're going to get pressure in the mid lane. And Ra's clear is just a little bit better than Janus is. Deathpanter won't be able to make it all the way over there. Sops' presence alone, knowing that he's on the way, is enough to force Insignem back off that buff, and it's already too late. First blood is in the bag.
We're going to look back at that respawn first blood then, as everything else is fine for the moment. And this really was just Insignem biting off a bit more than they can chew at the purple. They got the babies, but as soon as they escaped, I don't think they chose the best path in there, trying to come back on themselves when Sibyl and SmiteVOD were waiting around the corner. And then worst of all, Deathpanter probably called out that mid has been rotating too, so one of them was going to die. The good news is only one of them did, but SmiteVOD up to some tricks here, trying to gank around the back.
SmiteVOD has the knock-up right on point onto Joshy. Joshy knows he's in some trouble, but Sibyl is too.
Well, the minions are going to be able to kill him. Can Ksier get the last hit? I don't think he can. Now he's going to have to walk away as SmiteVOD doing what he can to bring down the tree in the dual lane. Knock-up is good. Last basic won't reach. He'll survive for now. He's still not dead.
Dude, you can't win with these cats. Just in your duo lane, you know. This is his usual stuff. I'm kidding, of course. It's just that Joshy has a pretty tough lane matchup up against this Erlang Shen. I've been pretty vocal that Erlang is far better in the jungle than in any other role right now. But if it's a really immobile duo lane, like, oh, I don't know, Freya Sylvanus, then it looks really, really good, and you can really pressure it out, and it also works really well with Jing Wei. Jing is being picked a ton this week because of her safety, but also her ability to fight is really underrated in the early game. Persistent Gust does a lot of damage, and even guaranteeing 1 or 2 autos does a lot. But you have to hit it, but 10 helps, a knock-up helps from some of these transformations. It's great setup coming from Sibyl.
We'll see this as time goes on. Sibyl now in the mid lane, though, trying to contest these left-hand harpies from LASBRA. And LASBRA playing the Pele this game. A lot of the European fans will be looking at him to step up as best he can in this set and try and lead this team to a victory. Deathpanter on the Janus should be able to help out once he hits level 5 with these rotations for Insignem to at least support if the aggression is going to get too much in some of the side lanes.
We've seen a decent amount of this blessing plus magic focus start that Deathpanter has right now. It's you get your boots and then you get your pen item right away. But it's on Vulcan or Zeus or Opwash or Poseidon. Gods that really utilize penetration well, specifically Spear of the Magus, because of how easily you can stack Spear with a lot of those gods. Janus doesn't do any of those very well. Janus just doesn't work that well with pen in comparison to a lot of other mages, because a lot like Scylla or gods like that this year, they've struggled a little bit because Obsidian Shard isn't nearly as good as it used to be. I really don't like this start on a Janus. I think that it's great on Poseidon and Zeus and gods like that, but I really don't like it here for Deathpanter.
Bit of invade coming on the right-hand side from Cope, but there's nothing really up in the jungle just yet. Zearoe needs to be a little bit careful on that right-hand side in case of an aggression, but Cope's just realized that camp's come up and will take it down straight away. He may be cheeky enough to see if the speed buff was up, but no, better safe than sorry for now. Just those 2 kills, both on the Erlang Shen support, which is someone that we talk about supports getting killed sometimes. And Erlang Shen getting them, I'm definitely not upset about.
No, well, unless you're against it, in which case you should be very upset about it, because his ability to put pressure around the map is going to be really, really key. And it takes a lot of the pressure off Sops, because sometimes with this Erlang Rock combo, you need to be consistently landing your 1 and your 4 to kill people, especially with Erlang support instead of jungle, because they just aren't contributing in as much damage. But if Sibyl can continue to keep a level lead, that means Sops won't have to stick around very long, use that Celestial Beam on top of Searing Pain, just toss out the ultimate and let Sibyl take care of the rest. And from this point, there's a real chance that Sibyl can do that.
Both these teams vying for a spot to take on Space Station Gaming tomorrow for their chance at hi-rez Expo. Space Station Gaming is a big old task. Neither of them can really look in that direction yet until after this game concludes. Zero's a bit far forward, gets kissed, gets ulted. Overall is on its way too. As a beautiful play from Cope.
This guy's insane. Cope is nuts. He has played so well this entire week. He just knows exactly what Zero's going to do and reads him front to back, cover to cover, and wrote the report afterwards. Good. He's insane.
It worked out so well for Cope, and now it's another kill in the side of Armada. One that goes to Bra, not towards Cope, but Cope in mid now, looking at Panther and getting the beads. Sops' ult was really well placed, actually. Panther just slips the net with the portal.
Don't mind that at all from Sops. If you have to trust your jungler to hit their setup every single time, and Cope's going for the highlight play, the double Cobra's Kiss. from that position. It's not an easy one to hit, but if he hits it, the payoff is insane off a double raw snipe. Sops isn't messing around, trying to throw the one out for extra damage. Get your damage off. Sops has been loose with these ultimates so far, and that's the way that Raw should play. Doesn't have the CDR yet. He's just 2 stacks short of that Mage's Blessing. But as soon as he gets the Chronos Pendant or the whatever he's going to go for in that second slot, get some more CDR going with the Mage's Blessing, then it'll be even better.
Oh, Cope ain't done yet. Ping comes out from Sibyl too. The port was down from Panther, but it wasn't needed in the end. LASBRA will slip away just in time with that mobility back towards his speed buff. But Cope is really focused on trying to farm up as much of Insignem's jungle as he can on the rotations.
Normally, Pele is the one that's going to really drive the pace of the game, consistently invade camps because she's so fast from camp to camp, and her clear is very good, having 2 charges of her main clear ability. But because Cope has gotten himself a slight lead, and Cope's really just playing with such confidence right now that he knows that he can move around and really go anywhere he needs to be. But he does need to be careful because now the Deathpanter is above level 5. He's got the option to use that through space and time to get wherever Cope is if LASBRA or Zearoe were to get into trouble.
Red buff coming up on the left-hand side. No investment from Armada here. Things have kind of toned down on this left-hand side of the map a little bit after the initial 2 deaths towards Joshy, which, in fairness, was initiated by Insignem's invade earlier on. Now, though, we get to a bit of a point in time where, uh-oh, hang on a second, here comes Cope again. Zearoe could be in more trouble.
Run, Zearoe. Really good ultimate that time from Zearoe. You don't have purification beads to use once you get plucked. So that time he's got to use his own ultimate for it.
Heart ult from Sylvanus gets the Aegis double punish. No unstable vortex available. And now the turnaround could be here. Sibyl goes down to LASBRA. Joshy gets sops. And that's all down to the plat lad in the support role.
Look at him, dude.
Look at him go. Go on,
He's gassing
son.
himself up. I love it, man. That was hot from the support. And Sops should have been out in that position, but turned around to toss the one and slow the Sylvanus. And Joshy just got to punish him for it with that Valkyrie's Discretion. Too greedy from Sops to go back in for some extra damage.
Tell you what, Sops might just second guess next time he gets in that sort of position again. Now that we're keeping an eye on the Sylvanus, that's the first pull we've seen him go for. Generally in the Pro League, that doesn't always happen the best way. Cope now under pressure, walks right into Zearoe, who slaps him in the back of the head. Insignem have evened it up 3-3. There's a 200 gold difference between the two.
Now, even though Bra has the level lead, he should be ahead. He got the kill in lane because of Cope's gank. It's still Achilles versus Sobek. Zearoe is still using what his god does better to his advantage. It's early fights. It's the ability to rotate a little bit earlier, and he's able to get towards the enemy back harpies before Bra is even out of lane. Also, there's not a ton of ward vision around that backside. Depending on which way Zearoe went, they might not have seen it.
Zearoe going to get forced under his tower here. Bra still whacking away as much as he can. TP is about to come up, though, for the Achilles, so we shouldn't be too worried in this scenario. Plus, one thing some people underestimate is Achilles does have a bit of a sustain in that kit, too.
It really does do a decent amount of health regen for you. Now, it won't right now. It's only level 1, but as Zearoe begins to rank it up, you really want to put points in it after you've already maxed your shield and your combat dodge, but this does some serious work, man, and you get some pretty good heals from it, especially once it hits that max rank. You're getting up to 4 per ability hit. That's really, really strong.
It's just so hard to put more points into it early, right? You want the dodge and you want the damage from your shield for clear, so it does make it a little bit awkward. Wall coverage, though, from both teams, pretty solid right now. Insignem are looking for picks around the mid lane because you can see where Sylvanus and, of course, LASBRA are positioned. I'm saying Sylvanus because I'm expecting I'm going to butcher his name heavily. He is a Spanish individual. Ksier?
I was gonna wonder. Well, I was just waiting for you to say his name, and then I was gonna follow your lead.
Funny enough, I asked beforehand and I forgot.
Unlucky, dude.
That's how bad I am. You know, oh, mid lane. I thought Sibyl was getting aggressive there, but it's not going to be the case. It's about war battles for the time being.
He's out farming the Erlang Shen that got 2 kills at the beginning of the game.
I'm impressed so far.
The man's a beast.
The biggest issue is, and the reason I'm going to side with him is, the longer the game goes, the more difficult it is to be in the right position at the right time. And a small mistake in a 5-on-5 that's even is going to be awkward.
It's the more chances you have to mess up as a newer player is really what it is. But again, as I mentioned during the laning phase, it's really on Joshy to be the one to get him around the map. Now, whoever the primary shot caller is, good luck. You just got an extra responsibility. It's moving your Sylvanus around the map.
Thinking about it, right? If Obey can win scrims with Hazer, then surely these guys can win with their coach.
I definitely thought you were about to say if Obey can go to Worlds Finals with Frezzy, then anyone can win with something like that. I wasn't going to disagree with you from this position. No, I mean, I really don't know enough about Insignem and how they communicate in-game, but you look at guys like Pain to Beyond and people like that, I think that the ability, if you have the type of player who can really view the game from a top-down perspective and view the team as moving pieces around the map with which you do your strategy, basically it's super hard chess, then you can really, as long as Ksier is going to listen to you and be in the right spots and you trust him to hit his big AoE abilities, then he really shouldn't be doing too poorly. It's just a lot more pressure on whoever's being the primary shot caller.
Definitely. I do feel as well Armada have an engage comp, very heavy engage comp with the likes of these pins as well as the Sobek and the Serqet. So Sylvanus be able to backline and not have to engage is going to be very helpful for him anyway, just to be able to like, hey, my job is to zone the backline best of my ability. Panther though, space and time to left hand side, someone's in trouble. Perfect. Beautiful knock-up from LASBRA and great trust from Panther to follow through with his jungle's decision-making.
Very clean from Deathpanter in that position. Hits the snipe and the unstable vortex. Afterwards, Sibyl could have been out from that spot. Maybe LASBRA would have caught up to him with Volcanic Lightning. Well, he would have caught up to him, but it's just a matter of if he would have had the damage before that 9 turns Blessing heal went off.
SbEnnyQ on this right-hand side was looking for a bit of a cheeky play potentially, but LASBRA's over here to soak. However, Cope now on the rotation too. Could be a bit of punishment here. Nice little banish out of Joshy, but there's an advantage for SbEnnyQ.
Cope coming right in onto LASBRA. Knockup really wasn't there though from SbEnnyQ, and LASBRA is home scot-free.
Slips the noose. Now Panther on the rotation, but he's not got his ultimate available. Only that unstable vortex. Like the idea. Little risque, I would say, but it doesn't hurt anyway. Insignem actually still down on gold a little bit, but they are up in kills, and that's a good sign for them so far.
LASBRA has been able to get through the early game and still being able to be aggressive. Cope hasn't gone back to gank Zearoe again, and Zearoe falling behind is an easy way for Armada to get a victory in this game because Bra can do so much for you in these team fights, whereas Achilles, once he falls behind, isn't really going to provide that much outside of the lone execute that he might be able to find. So I'm a little surprised that Cope hasn't gone back over there, especially after he finished that Jotun's Wrath. Pre-Jotun's Wrath, it's tough, but you know Zero's building magical defense up against your Sobek, so that could have been a really big window for Cope to exploit, and he just didn't.
I do like that Zearoe did actually go for plenty of wards on this right-hand side, though, to at least keep an eye on where Cope is on these rotations.
Yes.
Trying to make sure that he doesn't end up getting picked in an awkward spot. There is a bit of a gap, though, around the Pyro and Fire for him to slip through, and junglers are very good at realizing when it's warded and adjusting their rotations.
This has been a game that Insignem can definitely feel happy with through 14 minutes. Their comp is pretty early game focused outside of the Freya, but even Freya is really mid game still. She's not that late game super Chronos hyper carry whatever. She really just wants to get her core items online, max the 1 and the 2, and pop you for 3/4 of your HP with her combo. And Joshy's pretty close to that point anyways, so Insignem would normally be playing pretty aggressive with this comp at this point in the game, maybe with a different support there. They're a little bit more gun-shy in that regard, but I still think they can take fights around these Gold Furies. You don't want to let Bra start to join these fights because his initiations are going to be difficult to deal with.
And it's all about what Zearoe brings then in response to that. LASBRA a little bit overextended here. The snipe of the mark from stops. The beads actually helped out LASBRA to avoid that damage. Space and time, a little bit late from Panther, but I got the idea from that. Insignem fine for the time being, but beads were used by LASBRA.
So earlier I said I liked that Sops was being loose with that ultimate. That position I didn't, but Cope doesn't like where he is. He's got a beads and jump away. Deathpanter's ultimate already used.
LASBRA knocked up 2 members there too, but he's getting low. Zearoe went in with an ultimate, didn't really do anything. SbEnnyQ's turned up, and he's just whacking away. Bit of over-aggression from Insignem diving in there now. And Ksier's just trying to get back to his team after the front line went way too deep.
Zearoe just was on a different page than
Cope
everybody
was low.
else. Cope was low, but he was way gone, my man. I mean, he was in a different county by that point, and Zearoe was still looking for it. That secured the Pyromancer. Good rotation over by SbEnnyQ is the difference for Armada in that fight. They just had extra bodies there to deal the damage.
But now Cope's back as well. He's on the rotation towards the Gold Fury. Ksier could be in trouble.
No,
but
not the
Blink
new
comes
guy.
in, gets kissed. Shoutouts to Sylvanus passive though, but Bro might not be done. Nice little route. Still trying to survive. Gets the ult off on Cope. But the whole team's there. There's not much he can do. He will fall down for his first death, but 3 assists. Can't complain too much. LASBRA, meanwhile, pushed out the mid lane, and now the Gold Fury under threat from Armada.
Deathpanter's going to have that ultimate soon, and watch LASBRA. He's got a really good angle behind this fight.
There's no real ultimate, so that's a real issue. It's only really Joshy. He could go for the steal as LASBRA does come from behind. The eruption did some good work, but Cope will still take his life. Zearoe, though, got the kill on sops, and Cope could be in trouble thanks to the damage from Joshy.
Deathpanter just needs the auto attack, but Unstable Vortex will do just as well. That takes down
they're
Cope.
going, boys.
Sibyl can't quite get away yet. Good 72 transformations, and Joshy's
Oh, one hit's all it needs. Panther land it. No! Where was your Hunter play then? Just when he needed it, it didn't come up. But the good news is, Insignem prevent the Gold Fury and keep this game really close.
I gotta say, Sops just gets obliterated, never gets the ultimate off. His Aegis wasn't good enough to save his life. LASBRA went in and never got his ultimate off either. And if LASBRA does hit that ultimate, start life sealing a little bit with that Pele passive, Insignem could have gone for fire. I mean, they really could have won that fight that hard. Well, maybe with Deathpanter and Joshy being low on mana, I'm being a bit facetious, but they would have won that fight very, very easily from that point. But Armada did a good enough job of focusing him out before Volcanic Lightning came out that it could have been a lot worse. But LASBRA's positioning around the back, even though he's the first one out, is enough to disrupt Armada, get them off the objective, and buy time for the rest of Insignem to get there.
The North American minor league teams that we've seen throughout the last couple of, well, this last year in terms of lands up against the EU minor league teams has been a varied affair with multiple teams coming in and out. Insignem have been a stable thing there, so they've got some experience. They know how the NA minor league likes to play, a little bit more so.
Look at all this ward coverage, Graham. Everywhere is warded. Through Space and Time still gets to the Gold Fury in time, but Deathpanter's got to use beads. Sibyl was there with the ultimate, right back on gold. Go Armada, snipe. No, it got leashed!
It got reset! Insignem get the Gold Fury! Benny was off the mark. Joshy has to beat away. Good on to LASBRA coming up from Cope, but the damage is too much. Joshy gets one. Zearoe gets another. Sops, good night, sweet prince. Insignem are winning this game at 18 minutes in.
Sybyl's going down to LASBRA. If LASBRA has anything to say about it, just not quite enough damage. But Armada has got to do better than that on that Gold Fury. Sibyl just nearly got away, but a good whoop from Joshy. Bruh with some excellent peel still saves the life of his support. But Insignem get that tier 1 tower. The leash there, I mean, you have to trust Sops to secure the objective. Look, Armada's losing that fight anyways because Insignem played it really, really well, looping around the back left side of that fight. But at the same time, at least get the gold. Otherwise, you end up with a team fight recap of 23 gold during that time. Is that good?
That's like 2 minions, right?
Is that, hey guys, is 23 gold good?
I mean, I don't know, maybe, I guess. It's better than no gold.
It's better than 22 gold.
That's the highlight. 9-7 then. A 7,000 experience lead for Insignem. We're talking big about Insignem because they are playing with their coach in the support role. Not because of their doing, but they're trying to make the best of the situation they can. And right now, they have a 3,000 gold lead. And some of this is down to Armada mistakes too.
So in the early game, I was saying I like Sops being fast and loose with the ultimate.
Yeah.
Since then, the ultimates have been really bad. And
Faster
the build isn't helping. This Lotus Crown is just not what you need if you're Armada. This is not a team composition that wants to sit and fight up against Insignem.
It's burst and get out, right?
It's burst off the blink at Serqet combos and then get back and reset. But you don't need these physical protections from Lotus Crown if you're backing up to reset. You don't want to stand and fight up against Pele or Freya or Achilles. You just don't. And so Armada is really hurting themselves with this build. Well, I guess Sops is really hurting Armada with this build because it is really taking away his burst potential, not only in these little fights off the Celestial Beam, but also Cope's going to need to stick around too long in order to get these kills. Cope's building with some defense in mind because Sops should be there in order to confirm these kills, but he just won't be with this build.
LASBRA and Deathpanter combining on Cope a little bit, and there goes Zearoe going in too, looking for the stun. Didn't find it though after the fact. The blink was wasted. LASBRA now looking towards Sops. sBennyQ has to Aegis away. Sops being focused and has to Aegis too. Zearoe and LASBRA combining. Sibyl there to peel, but he gets banished out of the fight. Sops still on the run away from Zearoe. The knock from sBennyQ slows that down for now as Bro trying to get some damage off on LASBRA.
Good stun on the Bruh, but the Sobek still so healthy. Good idea from Insignem, but Zearoe needs to push up in the jungle on that right-hand side to cut off Sops' rotation back through the jungle. I love the idea from Insignem to pull Armada down in the jungle, then ult up the left to kill all the backliners who have no protection, but they need that force on the right to prevent that escape.
Cope's in a lot of trouble, rooted in place after the fact. Took a little bit late on the mark there, but Insignem got the pyro. How is this going on? Cope and Ksier still going at it, but Ksier should be fine. Meanwhile, Sibyl on the front side needs some support.
Why is Armada running?
Oh,
This is a great fight for them now. Joshy got enough mana back that maybe it's not as good as we initially thought. Valkyrie's discretion there.
Damage.
But you got Lotus Crown procs.
Joshy needs some help now and some peel, but he's not really getting it. Sibyl took a lot more damage than bargained for, though, as Zearoe goes down. The support got a kill, and Cope may go down to Panther.
What is-
One more basic was all that was required, but it's not going to be the case. And now the tree will not fall in the woods. It won't fall in the jungle. It'll fall in the solo lane.
Armada really was nearly disengaging from a fight that looked great. SmiteVOD ults out and then gets told, come on, we got this one, let's get back in there. That time, LASBRA just gets killed a little bit too early.
Deathpanter has his ult here. Bra is the one in his face. Shows the ult, shows the unstable to him. Still has his space and time, and he knows about it. He's got a bit of time here, you know.
The fade
Too early.
away through space and time a bit too early, and
like
he's
the
got no
idea.
information. Deathpanter's really just rolling dice to try and hit that, and I've got no problem with him turning around and firing that off. In fact, Armada playing that wrong is what ended up them not losing the Fire Giant, because both SmiteVOD and sops pull off fire for a moment to try and kill Deathpanter, and I could almost hear Cope screaming from here, stay on fire, guys, what are you doing?
Especially after gold and pyro, too.
Yes, stay on it, we're fine, but that stop in DPS may have ultimately been the difference.
Now Armada is still down in gold at the moment, but 4 members have that Fire Giant, so a couple of towers could help them out to even things up, and this gold period they're doing right now will certainly help with that too, as they're pressuring the mid lane at the same time. I like the fact Insignem are just still farming up in groups pretty nicely for the time. There's a bit of a bait going on in the mid lane from Brat and Cope there, trying to catch people on the rotation. But Insignem have already sniffed it out. They're going to play safer this time round as they look to defend tier 2s maybe?
Tier 2s, yeah, because you can't afford to give all of them up. What I always ask myself is, would I rather take the fight up against a team with X lead that they have right now and a Fire Giant buff, or no Fire Giant buff and up the amount of gold that's on the map? You would absolutely rather take a fight with even gold and even experience. In fact, experience is in Insignem's favor in the most part, with a Fire Giant buff than a team up 7k gold.
These two junglers are about to go at it. However, Panther's right behind Cope. Space and time got fired through, but SmiteVOD already picked up Joshy. Now Panther under pressure from Bra, as he just used a lot, has to Aegis away. Plugged back under the tower. Meanwhile, on the backside of this fight, Zearoe and LASBRA trying to keep Armada off the tier 2.
Bra's doing a great job of zoning. Pull onto Sybyl's actually good as Cope
dead. Oh, no,
getting
he's not.
very, very low. Back up and over. Cope is going to fall to the tree.
The tree gets the kill. SmiteVOD takes that down in response. But Cope being taken out slows down Armada on the assault for more info. They're going to have to fall back for now. Maybe a tier 1 in the mid lane is all they can really hope for here. But this game is giving me more than I expected. Both teams going at it, and it's mistakes. It's only mistakes that is actually preventing both of them.
As well as these two teams have played so far this week, they're still minor league teams. They still have things they need to learn, and I think they both had those sloppy minor league moments so far in this set, but it's just a matter of who makes less of them. In my mind, in this matchup, a lot of times in those top-end plays, it's who's going to make the bigger plays, who's going to be able to outdraft their opponent, all that kind of stuff. In this game, to me, it's just whoever makes less mistakes. And really, that's really all that has been happening up against Insignem and Armada so far this week, in my mind, is the teams have just made a lot of mistakes against them, and not to take credit away from either of these teams. They both did you can only do what your opponent gives you.
Sure.
And they made mistakes, and they punished them, and then they won the games, and they deserved to win those games. But in this one, you just have to play clean, and I think you're going to be A-okay.
Well, after the mess around of that tier 2 on the left-hand side, Insignem feel pretty confident about trying to defend the one in the mid lane. Relic's situation is a bit different this time round, as SmiteVOD gets knocked up by the ult from Sylvanus and forced to Aegis too. Zearoe is doing a beatdown with LASBRA, but LASBRA's getting low. Big execute from Zearoe though, and SmiteVOD has no Aegis. His knock-up is good. Where's the execute with Zearoe? Find it. No, Joshy will.
Now Joshy knocked up, but Sibyl, Bra, and Cope, they're healthy, but they're not going to do a whole lot of damage to you, and Insignem is going to be able to walk away from this looking really nice.
All started off Ksier's ult, actually. Funny enough, I wasn't sure it was going to do too much, but it came actually rather important.
I don't know where Bra was during that entire engagement, because the chase down is onto SmiteVOD and onto sops, and neither of those two got an ounce of peel from Armada, and you really do need to be able to peel for your Ra, especially if the man's building Lotus Crown. May as well stand near him, because then I'll get protections when he drops his heal.
So it works out well, 13-13. Remember, Armada had a fire giant around 3 members' waist in that fight too. And there was a damn lot of relics already down before that engagement happened. So good play from Insignem on the defense there to hold off, and that actually ties us up once more around the fire giant. I just wonder if Insignem realize how close they are still.
It's right there, and you can tell in the way they're playing. I don't think a team that feels like they're out of it takes that fight. As you mentioned, some of their relics are down.
Yeah.
That's not a guaranteed engagement. You're pulling yourself out of your defensive structure, but Insignem still having that aggressive mindset has really impressed me. Not just in that fight in particular, but in this set where I think a lot of teams would let the circumstances get to their heads a little bit more than Insignem seems to have had happen to them.
Relics coming back up, but SmiteVOD are still down, and Zearoe actually looking at sops in the back line right now. All in a gank onto the sops, and he goes down to Panther, who wraps around the back. The tanks on the front line, at least Copebby's trying to get towards Joshy, who escapes the net.
Goodbye,
and SmiteVOD without any without any beads or relics, he's going to have to run away and use his ult defensively. Joshy gets plugged back to safety. Insignem win the fight, and the support hero of the day is here to pull him back in.
LASBRA around the back sets up Zearoe for the kill onto sBennyQ. Only Sibyl left standing, and Deathpanter's Janus this game has been beautiful. It's been a work of art. He has been the initiator
He's
by
done a
just getting his team
look
into
at the
the back
faces of
line.
the team though. Look at the player cams of this Insignem team. They are all locked in so much before that fight. You can just see it's full on focus. I don't think any of the players who play with these guys in EU and ranks have ever seen them try hard this much.
They're looking
Ever.
good. LASBRA's getting pumped up. Zearoe, everyone's having a bit of fun. And look, let's call a spade a spade. Genetics let the team down with what he did. He
Sure.
let the team down, and that happens to your teammates sometimes. They'll let you down
But
in
what you
game,
do
out of game.
in any sport,
You've got to
teammate,
pick them up.
happens.
You've got to pick them up. That's your job as a teammate. And Insignem has done a great job of staying focused and not letting the circumstances get the better of him.
Well, the one thing about a team situation when you think about it is the fact it is a team. It's not one individual that gets you to Worlds. It's not one individual that gets you past Armada. It's a team effort, and right now, Insignem have a power play. Fire Giant around all 5 of them. Couple of tier 1s remaining. Actually, only the one on this left-hand side. Their tower situation is surprisingly pretty good right now for being able to look at some Phoenixes.
They've got a great opportunity, but they don't push Phoenixes very well. They have the Freya, no traditional hunter. So there is a Polynomicon for Joshy. That'll help him clear these towers a lot more easily because that polyproc does affect structures. But overall, Insignem could have trouble. They're going to need to look more for the fights than anything else. And you look at the way that this game is shaken down. If I would have not seen any of this game up until this point, I get a screenshot from this exact point of only the player damage charts, and I see that Cope is the lowest on his team. I would have told you Armada's struggling. Cope has really not been able to find the right initiations, but it's because half these fights, his backline's dead before he's hitting anybody because of these perfect Janus ults from Deathpanter.
On top of that, just look at how the team's been performing as a whole. Look at the 4 players and the player damage of Insignem. Sure, they're not right at the top, but they're all working just as hard as each other to try and make this happen. It's a best of 3, still game 1, so there's still time for both teams to make mistakes throughout this set, whether you win game 1 or not. But game 1 is a big telling moment.
Insignem's in control at this point. Fire Giant's going to fall off in about a minute.
Yeah.
And that's actually closer to 2, so they've got a little bit of time. That should be enough to take this tier 2 tower down. If Armada's not willing to defend the other 2 tier 2s before Insignem backs and spends with all that gold, then I can't imagine they'll be willing to defend this one. I don't even know if they're willing to go to fire from here.
We'll find out. The tits on the right will fall. Armada really far back here because I think they realize that the engagement from Insignem could be quite awkward. We're looking at Zearoe with the blink, and we're looking at LASBRA with the blink, honestly. Or the man of the hour stepping up and finding a hot pull. That's kind of where I'm looking.
Here it is, baby. 360 pull on the Phoenix.
On SmiteVOD.
On anybody. Get Cope over here, dude. Let's go.
Man, what are you picking on Cope for?
Because he's the guy for Armada.
That's true.
That's the one I'm
That's
going
true.
to pull.
Cope has been neutralized so far, though. He's tried to make it happen. Ksier trying to get a ward over the wall, look for a cheeky one if he can. However, Zearoe and LASBRA are going to dive the back line. Cope is still in the mid lane here, so keep an eye on Cope rotating around, but bruh could already be dead, and he is! Panther gets the kill, Cope in the back line tries to get in, but that's denied, and Space and Time hits Sops so hard, he thought it was next Tuesday!
Right side Phoenix gone for Insignem.
I can't believe they do this.
They're looking great, and they've still got fire for a little bit longer, Graham. 40 seconds still on that buff, and Mid Phoenix is looking awfully appetizing.
Holy moly, they might actually do this. Here we go, Zearoe into the backline again. Looking at sBennyQ, forcing him out. Big knock up though, and a bit of pressure onto Joshy. What's the Aegis? He's way too deep in there, but it was all masturbating from Joshy as he gets a beautiful ultimate off and secures the kill.
Mid Phoenix should be next. LASBRA's on it, and he'll take it down. Cope and Co can only watch as Insignem now get away, but Cope not looking to let him off the hook that easily, but doesn't have the ultimate to keep the chain going.
I love the call for him to come back though. 2 Phoenixes down right now, then fall back, not overextend and do too much.
They've got the time.
I'm just getting away from production. I think I'm going to be banned after the last little team fight, by the way. Yeah, it's on the cards.
You could just give that fine to me right away. I'll take care of it for you. I'll be your middleman for it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no worries. So from here, Armada, what can they do against these fights is really the question. And now you're definitely not going to Fire Giant. So that's step one. Don't leave your base, because that's where you live now. Forever, most likely. Sops has got to try and find a way to hit a priority target with this snipe. But the problem is that Zearoe and LASBRA are timing their blinks in, not so that they're right on top of each other, but so that they're in tandem with one another. Zearoe is going in a little bit earlier than that of LASBRA, absorbing a bunch of cooldowns, and then letting LASBRA go in after all those big cooldowns are used onto the tanky solo laner. There was a bit of miscommunication as Bro is actually portaled out of the execute, but we don't have to talk about it. Bro died anyways. Bro has to be more worried about his own health bar. He never got the blink off in that fight. I don't really know why he has blink in the first place, because they clearly haven't been chasing down Insignem. Even when Armada was winning fights, I don't think this blink is really what was necessary from Armada's solo laner. He just needs to be able to hold that front line.
Just want to let you know, Ksier avoided the damage from the Fire Giant there by moving. Zearoe didn't. So many fans of watching the Fire Giant there. Although he did try and pull the Fire Giant, which we'll definitely give him some updates on that after this game.
Yeah, but what if he did, though?
Can you imagine if he could?
Think about that. What if he's the chosen one?
He's the only one that could do it.
That's right.
That'd be great. Extra low buff, 19-13 then. Insignem looking to close out game 1 and go into game 2 with an advantage over Armada, where Armada are going to have to scratch their heads, because the start of this game, Armada were up 3-0, and we thought it was looking exactly as we expected it to go, with the fact Insignem were in unfortunate circumstances.
Deathpanter stepped up 5-0-8. He has been the dude for Insignem in this game. And I know I've praised his Janus ults a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people in chat are going, but he's not hitting anybody every time. It's not like he's insta-killing people. The way that Insignem was winning these fights is because of the way that Deathpanter was setting up the angles of his ultimate to get his team in position onto priority targets without them having an easy escape route. It was not only putting them to the backliners, but also keeping them with portals to chase if necessary.
In we go. Zearoe manually dashing in towards sBennyQ, trying to keep him honest. Sibyl on the front side trying to do what he can. Ksier knocked up and then knocks up Bro. And on top of that, Sibyl too. Panther takes out Sibyl already. Phoenix still alive. sBennyQ forced to airstrike back to the base as 5 men of Insignem bring down the left-hand Phoenix. And the base has been routed. Armada, those gods is all that stands between Insignem and winning game 1.
Now, no ultimates here for Insignem, so this siege won't be easy, but Armada only has 2 up of their own. And that's Raw Snipe and Lurking in the Waters. By the way, this healing for Sops, 9k so far. That is not a lot through 34 minutes.
They've not had a chance to really group because he's been dead most of the time, unfortunately for him, with those 5 deaths. Right Phoenix spawns, Right Phoenix goes down, Fire Minions pouring in. Insignem starting to group around the middle areas. Fire Minions come down the mid too. Only 4 members left for the next 20 seconds of Bro blinks and he gets Deathpanter.
Deathpanter still has Aegis though, buying some time. Snipe isn't there. Panther still alive, bruh. Not quite as lucky. sBennyQ could be next. Indeed he goes. Insignem.
They did it!
Up 1-0.
1-0. The game, the set is not done, the game is. Insignem win it after being down 3-0 earlier on in it. Great performance from the whole team, honestly. And individually, Ksier didn't really do much wrong.
No,
I'm really happy about that.
He played totally fine. Nothing wrong with what he did. Armada, it feels bad to put so much pressure onto Cope, but doesn't it feel that way? Every time you watch this team, that Cope has got to be the one making all the plays for them. And in that game, he gets an early kill for Bruh in lane, and then did a whole lot of nothing after that.
Not gonna lie, I mean, the Sobek, the Erlang, I'm looking at that comp and I'm going, these guys just run straight over like a train, but it didn't happen that way whatsoever.
It's the Janus salts. It really is. And if you aren't going to be able to understand where you can position and where you can't, as well as running to your team versus running away from your team, the bra has to be away from where these backliners are and keeping Deathpanter away from his own portals. Keep Joshy off the backliners. If Deathpanter is going to ult in, that's putting Deathpanter out of position. Now, you normally don't want to hit it on him because he's Janus and he gets away, but that's forcing Joshy forward, and that should be an opportunity that Armada should have exploited better.
Well, game 1, Insignem. I wasn't expecting to say that. Do you reckon we go 3 games?
I don't know, man. I think it might be Insignem 2-0 at this rate.
We got some people on the desk to break down game 1 and actually discuss if we do get to go to 3 games.
We just might. It is certainly possible, Hindu. Great job on the call. You two aggro. But, you know, I gotta call a spade here. I gotta be honest with you. I think all 3 of us expected, all right, minor league team, sub, see you later, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not so cut and dry. Coach Ksier comes through and not only does the job, but does the job well. Number of strong ultimates, pulls through walls. I mean, where did this guy come from? Access Replay bringing us the post-game stats, and boy, what a play it was.
2, 3, and 18 on the support. Oh, the one thing I had to say was his heart was in every single one of those pulls. Man, had to pull through the wall at the tier 2 tower and solo lane, pulling the Sobek back in. I mean, this guy played out of his mind. But not only that, Deathpanter and LASBRA really stepping up there. Deathpanter 7-0 and 10.
I really enjoyed watching LASBRA and Deathpanter do what they did. Damage done coming out from LASBRA on the lower side compared to what we were used to seeing. He had 1 kill and a ton of assists, but he lined Deathpanter up exactly the way he needed to be.
Yeah, he played a tankier build, so he could be initiating, flanking, playing it right. Deathpanter and Joshy just played phenomenal. Considering the 0-2 start for Joshy, it's kind of really amazing that he was able to play as well as he was.
Yeah, what really impressed me, I think, as Insignem as a unit came through here. By the way, the unstable vortexes from Deathpanter were insane. This guy seemed to be 3 seconds ahead of where everybody else was as far as his aim and understanding how to hit everybody. But what was really impressive to me as far as Insignem is concerned is I have definitely laid this team out to be one-dimensional. I have sat up here on the broadcast and said, this is the LASBRA team. LASBRA has to win the game. And here, it's like they listened to me and shut me up. They were like, dude, no, LASBRA can just play facilitator. Joshy and DP can do it. Watch. And then they did it. I'm a believer.
It reminds me of Energy, where Adapting was like the all-star. LASBRA is the all-star, but his team is so freaking good, man. Like,
Yeah.
It's unreal how well these guys can play. These ults all were on point. All of them. They were all hitting 3 people.
That was 80% of his health. He didn't hit very many ults, but the ones that he did really came in clutch for this team. I mean, Deathpanter putting up the big damage numbers in that game.
One of the more vocal players of the minor league. He used to be in the major leagues. He's had his experiences up and down, and just always a focal point here. And coming through in the clutch with his ability in game as well. This is a must-win game for Insignem in I think a lot of different ways. And coming out here again with the mentality, being able to pull this win, very important.